Hey, this is episode number 47 of Gen X Amplified. And yes, we have another solo episode. And I am going to go all in on why, if you are quote unquote mid-career, midlife, etc., why now, right now is the perfect time to go for your goals, go for your dreams, and really make an impact on the world. Yes. So, are you ready? Let's do it. So we have something that just cannot be replaced. Experience. That is a virtue. That is something that can add a lot of value on the world.
Welcome to Gen X Amplified, where we bring you inspirational and entertaining conversations with successful Gen X leaders and entrepreneurs.
This is the show created just for you. The powerful generation between the boomers and millennials to help you amplify your story,
maximize your impact,
and become Gen Exceptional in business and in life.
Now, here's your host, Adrion Porter.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another brand new episode of Gen X Amplified, the premier personal development and leadership podcast dedicated to the powerful generation between those brilliant boomers and those magnificent millennials. I can't forget about them now. I can't forget about the other generations that we're squeezed in between, but it's all good. They are awesome and you are awesome. And as always, my name is Adrion Porter, and it is our mission here on Gen X Amplified to inspire Gen X professionals and leaders, especially those who feel stuck at mid-career, help inspire you to unlock our unique power so you can maximize your impact and succeed in life. And speaking of mid-career, this is a solo episode and I am going to go all in. And I'm going to talk about this in a minute. But first, let me say, you know what? It's been a very busy week. It has been a very busy week. And I had originally wanted to publish this episode much earlier than I'm doing right now. And you know what? Life happens. Things happen. I got sidetracked on a couple of things. It's been crazy. It's been busy. Work has been busy, which is good. But you have work, you have family, and you have life. So this is real stuff here. All right. I'm very authentic and I'm just giving you the real. And this is who I am. This is the real deal. But you know what? I am committed to providing as much value as I can. So I said, let me get on the mic and just push out this episode because I have something on my mind, as I mentioned. So speaking of mid-career, this episode is something that I have been thinking about probably for the past couple of days based on different conversations that I've been having with colleagues, with friends, especially doing what I do through the podcast, through coaching and consulting, and my passionate focus on inspiring and empowering our generation. So I've had these conversations, and what has come up, especially recently, which is very interesting, it comes up a lot about mid-career crisis or midlife crisis and frustrations, but lately I've been having more conversations. So I've been thinking about publishing this episode. I call this episode I want this to be not a rant, because initially I said this was going to be a rant, a nice rant, but not a rant, but a rallying call for everyone that's currently Generation X, quote unquote, mid-career, midlife phase, what have you, a rallying call to start right now, really start understanding and thinking and embracing the fact that this moment is the perfect time to go for your dreams, whatever that is. Now, I know that's easier said than done. Trust me, I understand it. I feel it. I think it all the time. But you know what? I've been really thinking about this and having these conversations. And I do, in my honest opinion, feel that this is the perfect time. That's why I do this podcast, is to help amplify not only the virtues of a generation that we're in, but also amplify the fact and the opportunities that we have upon us. I truly feel that this is the perfect time to make an impact, whether it's on your job, in your business, to start a business, or just an impact on your life and the lives of those you love. So this episode is really dedicated. I think I titled it Why Mid-Career is the Perfect Time to Make an Impact. And I'm going to go through why I feel this way. And again, this episode is really meant to be the rallying cry, the rallying call, the rant, or whatever you call it, to really help empower not only you, my audience, but to empower me. A lot of what I do through content is not only for my audience, but it's also for me. It's my own nourishment. It's my own uplifting vehicle, if you will, or medium. And I really want us as a generation, in the generational sense, as a generation, to just take a step back, and just, number one, understand that, yes, we are in that mid-career phase of our lives. If you're, 40s, in our 40s, which is smack dab in the middle of Gen X, if you will, or in your career, early 50s, mid 50s, maybe even late 30s, 37, 38, which quote unquote by certain standards is considered Generation X. If you go by the years, if you're born starting 1965 and ending in 1980, if you're born in 1980, by Pew Research, which is a research studies that I use a lot, you're considered Generation X. And then millennials started 1981. And I always say this, look, around the edges, it varies. I don't like hard cutoff years, but a test that I always like to use when it comes to how do you define if you're Gen X, if you got through high school without Google, then you're probably Generation X. All right. So if you got through high school without Google, you're probably Generation X. But anyway, whether or not you're Gen X, if you're feeling that you're mid-career or midlife and you're frustrated, you're stuck, and you feel that, look, it's over. This is over for me. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough opportunities or bandwidth to do the things that I want to do, whether it's to move up on my job, to become C-suite, to become upper management, to start a business, to achieve some of these goals. If you're feeling that way, I'm here to tell you that, first of all, I understand, I empathize, totally understand. But I'm also here to say that because of the age that we're in now, because of this informational age, because of web, not even 2.0, but 3.0 pretty much, because of the advent of the smartphone, coupled with the internet, coupled with high-speed internet, coupled with mobility, coupled with all this access to information, not even coupled, at that point it's tripled by, quadrupled by, just combined all of these dynamics, if you will. Because of this, we have more opportunities now than we've ever had as humans at this stage of our lives to achieve some of these goals that we want to achieve. The time is now. And the reason why I say that mid-career, midlife is the perfect time to make an impact is because of experience. Think about it. Experience. And I'm going to walk through why I feel this way. So let me just also take another step back, because what also highlighted this for me is, events happen all the time, things that I think about, interactions that I have with people, studies that I read. And last night, so this is real time. Last night, actually, I attended an event here where I live in Atlanta, Georgia, called Business and Bourbon. I want to definitely give highlight and kudos to this. So I attended an event last night that was headed up by a person, actually a gentleman that I met on social media through LinkedIn. And his name is Ronell Richards. So because of the power of platforms and social and LinkedIn, I connected with him months ago just through content and mutual connections, and something popped up in my feed. And I said, hey, you know what? This is pretty interesting. I like what he's doing. He's a business leader, but he also does content, and a sales leader. His background is primarily in sales, but he has businesses, and he's really, really a really good guy. But anyway, I met him on LinkedIn. Then I actually was in a Starbucks, believe it or not, because those who know me know that Starbucks is my second home office, if you will. I live and breathe in Starbucks. But anyway, I was in Starbucks one day and I looked over to my right, I believe, and I recognized this guy. I recognized him from LinkedIn, and I put two and two together in my head, and I said, wait a minute, I think that is the guy, Ronell. And I was trying to remember his name because obviously through social media, you have many connections. So I took the effort to go up to him and introduce myself and just pretty much asked him, I said, hey, is your name Ronell and so, and do you have this other mutual connection that I mentioned? And he said, yes. And so right then and there, we struck up a conversation, and that is just an example of, again, the power of taking online relationships and making them productive offline. So anyway, we had a conversation. I told him about what I did. I told him about this podcast and my mission. We connected. He listened to the podcast and, he really supported it. But fast forward, weeks and months after that, he and I also had a couple of the meetings. He wanted to launch an event that was an extension of his online platform that he does called Business and Bourbon. So basically what Business and Bourbon is there are a series of videos that he launched on LinkedIn and still launches. And I believe it was on LinkedIn. And it's an interview setting where he's actually out at a restaurant or a bar and they're doing tastings of bourbon. And at the same time, he's addressing questions on business and leadership and sales and just really providing some really great value. That started off as an online piece of content. And last night was the first, which I'm sure of many, a live event version of Business and Bourbon, where Ronell invited two additional panelists. One by the name of Cher Jones, the lovely Cher Jones, who is a social media trainer from Toronto, Canada, and a social media guru and just all around awesome person. And thirdly, Mr. Nick F. Nelson, who goes by Brandpreneur, who is a photographer, a marketer, a brand guy, really cool guy that I've actually known for many years. But anyway, headlined by the three of them, it was taking the elements of Business and Bourbon and applying them in an event setting. An offline setting where 50 plus people were in attendance. There were Q&A. There was some bourbon tasting, but the majority of the event was really Q&A and answering questions and just talking about the power of branding, of business, of networking, of starting now. And all of that being said, I wanted to bring up this story because number one, I wanted to make sure that I highlight this great event that happened. And a lot has happened from that event in relationships and businesses. But also the three people that I just named, they're all Gen Xers. Okay. Not millennials, not Gen Z, Gen Xers who are quote unquote in that mid-career phase. This is something new that was started. That is the beginning of so many other awesome things that I'm sure are to come. These are not people that are in their 20s or their 30s. We're talking about Gen Xers making an impact, creating brands, creating experiences, creating events, starting something new, making an impact. And that is just one example. So that experience and example, including all the other recent conversations that I've had, really just pushed me ahead and say, you know what? I wanted to get on this mic and do this episode and just really double and triple and quadruple down on why right now is the perfect time for us to reach for our goals, to make an impact, to start something, to move closer to greatness. Okay. And again, it is because of the opportunities that we have in our hands, in our pockets, with the smartphone, with internet, with more importantly, because of the experience that we have accumulated over the years. Mid-career, don't think that it's too late. Do not think that it's too late to make an impact. It's the perfect time. Recent studies, I do a lot of research and do a lot of reading, not only on generational dynamics because I love it. I'm a geek for it. Recent studies state that there are more successful startups and businesses created by Gen X more than any other generation. So we think about, I mentioned successful. That is the key word, not just businesses, startups, because many businesses fail. Actually, the majority of businesses do fail in the first couple of years. But there are more successful startups and businesses created by Gen X, mid-career folks, all right? People that are in their 40s or late 30s or early 50s. More successful businesses started by Gen X more than any other generation. So that alone should let you know that, hey, if you are in this phase of life, it is not too late. Another study, just take entrepreneurship off the table. And let's say that you are that person that's in the corporate world and you're proud of it and you want to really excel in an organizational setting. Well, another study states that right now within the workplace, more than half, approximately 51% of all leadership roles globally, are now being held by, guess who? Gen X. Okay. So that means as we think about the workplace, leadership, the individuals that are now leading these companies and these organizations into the future are now being held by people in our generation. So what does that mean? That means that even though the workplace right now is a very interesting place, because we're talking about every now and then up to 5 generations are in the workplace. You have the incoming Gen Z, then you have millennials, which they now make up the majority of people in the workplace. You have millennials, then you have us, Gen X, and then you have boomers. And then every so often you may have some silent generation folks still hanging on. But anyway, you're talking about on average 4 generations in the workplace. And that alone has never happened the way it has happened now, just because of technology and because of aging and what have you, all these different dynamics in the workplace. But the people that are sitting in the leadership chair primarily are Gen Xers. So what that means is that that's motivation for us to say, hey, if we want to move into that role, then there's opportunities. And that means that if we are currently in that leadership role, then we have to really make sure that we provide as much impact as we can and much value. That means that we are the ones that are shepherding the future of work. We are the ones that have the opportunity to make an impact on the younger generations, to make sure that we get the best value that we can out of them, that we can be the best mentors, that we can be the best leaders. We're the ones that are leading these organizations. It is not too late. This is the perfect time to make an impact. So I really encourage you, as I think about this, that every now and then, I know we do think that maybe we're getting too old, that we're not marketable, that we're overlooked, that we're forgotten, that we haven't done this. And what's really driving that, because of where we are in life, many of us have families, we have wives, we have husbands, we have children, we're taking care of our aging parents. We are that, what do they call, the sandwich generation, if you will? Not only sandwiched between these big, huge, brilliant boomers on the right and magnificent millennials on the left, but we're squeezed because we're taking care of not only our lovely kids or our teenagers or what have you, but we're looking after a lot of times our elderly parents, and we have that responsibility, which is fine, but that is an extra burden upon us that other generations do not carry. Doesn't mean it's bad. It's just a fact. So how do we deal with that, though? How do we make sure that we continue to be the best people that we can be in this generation, at the same time care for our loved ones, provide for them, make the most out of this current economy that we have? This is real talk and this is a real dynamic, but it's something that we need to not only embrace, but we need to look for ways to optimize where we are in life. Okay. Again, mid-career is the perfect time because of these different dynamics of technology. And I mentioned earlier, experience. Okay. So let's unpack that a little bit, because this is really the meat of why I feel that it is the perfect time for us. If you're mid-career, we have an asset that other generations that are younger than us don't have. The years of experience. Okay. Think about it. Experience. I mean, yes, many millennials have great experiences, but obviously the more experience and the more age, the higher up in age that you are, the more experience that you have, both good and bad. Now, I did not say we have just good experience. We have challenges and we have failures that we've gone through. But to me, I look at a failure as a success because that isn't a learning experience. I did an episode on that, about how I think it was around my experience at HBO. And I talked about how I wanted to really start doing these episodes on key lessons. And I said that because in life, when you go through successes and even failures, there are lessons that you learn from failures. So as a mid-career Gen Xer, think about all of the years of experience that you have accumulated through work, through life, through school, and you've learned from that. You're wiser now. You're in a better position now. You've aged gracefully, if you will. So we have something that just cannot be replaced. Experience. That is a virtue. That is something that can add a lot of value on the world to make an impact. And at this point in time, because of that experience, you have unique insights. You've gone through things in your life and you've done an inventory and you said, well, hey, I did this and this was successful, so I'm going to triple down on that. Or I failed at this and I learned from this, so I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to do that. I zig then, I'm going to zag now. Okay. And the opportunities are endless. Another example, and this harkens back to another episode, I think it was episode 40, when I interviewed Rodney Bullard. I believe it was episode 40. Hope it is. If it's not, just go to Gen X Amplified and look for Rodney Bullard. During that great conversation that I had with Rodney Bullard, he mentioned that Truett Cathy was 46 years old when he created what is known today as Chick-fil-A. Okay. Did you hear that? 46. Okay. During that time for him, that was mid-career. Multi-billion-dollar brand. All right. That affects everyone except on Sundays. $1 billion brand that was started by someone who was 46 years old. And there are so many other examples. I mean, if you just take a step back and observe and think about it, there's a lot of reinvention going on right now. A lot of reinvention, not only from everyday common folk like us or like me, if you will, but entertainers, sports personalities. A lot of, you think about, especially within the sports arena, that you have a fixed lifespan in the professional sports game. I mean, you can't play sports for so many years, right, without banging up your body. And so you have to call it quits at some point. But there are a lot of professionals that are now reinventing themselves when they retire from sports, creating new things and new ideas and new brands and new careers. For example, one of my favorite player, Kobe Bryant, just reinvented his career. All right. He's a Gen Xer. He's 40 years old. So he made a great impact in the NBA arena. Now he has reinvented himself as the CEO of a media company. He's launching businesses and he's winning Oscars. He launched a podcast called The Punies, which is actually a favorite in this household that we listen to on Saturday mornings. My son Cameron and I, The Punies podcast, which is an element of his media company, which is Granity Studios. But that is just one example of someone that's reinventing himself. And there's a lot of that going on right now. All right. But I say that, I mentioned Truett Cathy. I mentioned Kobe Bryant. Yes, these are entertainers that have resources that enable them to do things. But all of us, we have an opportunity to achieve whatever specific goal that we have in this day and age, in our phase of our lives. And it's not over. You have experience. You have experience. You have experience. You have technology. You have digital media. You have social. You have the ongoing nonstop access to information. Okay. You can create businesses out of your home. After work, if you want to start a business, you just got to double down and work harder. Okay. You may not be able to splurge on Netflix, but at that point, you have to figure out what are your goals. And if you have to work when the kids go to bed and get in your office or on the couch and pull out your laptop and go for your dreams, you can do that now that you couldn't do years ago. It may not be easy, but it's possible. I'm recording this right now in my home, in my office. Okay. I invested in my podcast equipment, but I'm doing this through the luxury of my home. And this podcast and this episode and this content, is going around the world, impacting thousands of people. Okay. It's never been easier. Figure out what your passion is. Figure out what your goals are. Figure out what legacy you want to leave in life, especially because for our generation, that is important. Legacy. It's all about legacy. Think about the things that you want to do. Think about your bucket list. Okay. And turn that bucket list into something, a bucket that's going to be able to store all of your treasures and your goals and the things that you're going to succeed at. It is never too late. It is never too late to achieve your goals. Mid-career is a place that people at some point are going to dream they wish they were. They're going to dream that they wish they had your experience, that they had your opportunities, that they had the expertise. Okay, this is a rallying call for you. If you're feeling frustrated, there are opportunities and resources for you that are available to help you, to help guide you along. But if you're 45, 55, or even 65, I'm going to go there into the boomer arena, if you will, for a minute. If you're 45, 55, or 65, it is never too late. This is the perfect time to make an impact. It is the perfect time to do it. All right. So I just wanted to get on and just express my feelings, because this was been on my mind and I'm feeling it too. There's so many things that I haven't done. Well, I should say there's so many things that I have done, but then there are so many things that I haven't done yet. And those things that I have not done, they drive me. They excite me. They energize me. Like I am sitting here with a smile on my face because I know the things that I'm going to achieve if I put my mind to it, and the legacy that I'm going to lead, because I am an exceptional Gen Xer mid-career person, because the time is now. And it's all of us now. And I should say this, and I should preference this. I want to make sure I preface this because of the nature of this podcast and what I do. But it's going to take more than just us as Gen Xers. It's going to take a collective effort for us to engage and interact with other generations and people that we lead, that we're friends with, whether they're millennials or Gen Zs, because a lot of us, our children are Gen Zs, boomers. It's going to take a collective effort, because everyone is special. Everyone has something unique to provide. But my message, my direct message, is to the mid-career person, because of at times you may feel neglected. You may feel squeezed. You may feel frustrated. And you have what it takes to create more impact, not only for you, but also for those around you. All right. So this is your moment to shine. This is your moment to shine. Let's turn mid-career into a magic moment. Let's go from being a generation that's feeling squeezed and frustrated and overlooked and excluded to becoming the generation that's exceptional. All right. So let's go. Let's get it. Let's dominate. Let's do it. Okay. As always, thank you so much for listening to the episode and to the podcast. So that was my rant. No, seriously, that was my rallying cry. My rallying cry to all of my proud fellow mid-career, midlife Gen Xers. Look, this is the perfect time. It is not too late. This is the perfect time to go for our goals, to make an impact, to achieve what we want to achieve. We're living longer now than we've ever lived before as humans. We're going to be living till we're like 120 years old, probably. So at this point, we have so many years. So let's take those years of experience and expertise and insights and the internet and our phones and all these tools that we have in front of us and our insights and our unique perspectives, and let's make some magic. Let's make some magic. Okay. This is the perfect time to be a Gen Xer. All right, so please go over to genxamplify.com to get the show notes. And if you haven't already, remember to subscribe to the podcast so you can listen to this on your mobile device. Since we're all busy Gen Xers, we're commuting, we're on the go. Hey, you can consume this content at your leisure on demand. Go and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen to podcasts. And for all of my Apple listeners, iPhone listeners, please, if you like this content, go over to the Apple Podcast app and leave us a rating and review. And for my Android people, you can leave a review on Stitcher Radio app as well. But anyway, also please check out my personal website at adrionporter.com to learn more about me. And again, I am your host, Adrion Porter, and you've been listening to Gen X Amplify, the premier podcast dedicated to help you unlock the power of your best self, maximize your impact, and succeed in life. And as always, like to end by saying that it's more than a podcast. This is a movement. Take care.